Welcome back to the Joe Show. We'd like to welcome in Bryce Coder, our Columbus area correspondent, and talk a little bit about Columbus basketball hoops. So welcome, Bryce.
Thanks, Coach Balogh. Thank you for having me.
You are more than welcome. So I think the first thing we want to kind of talk about, we've covered several teams in the Columbus area, and kind of, tournaments coming up next week, and kind of delve into that a little bit here as we get into the show.
Yeah, so looking at our two area teams, one of our big ones, Big Walnut, they were so gracious in having us. They've been so welcoming in the community, and it's been great being there. They're 16-6, they're the number 11 seed in the Central District. They're Central 3 on that division. They're going to play the winner, Grove City in St. Charles, on March 1st. But, I mean, that team, they're just so solid. They're sturdy. Defensively, they can really slow down teams better than anyone I've seen. And they keep a good head on their shoulders under pressure. It's really incredible to see how they move the ball through pressure and create pressure opportunities of their own. With that being said, scoring, I think, is a real opportunity for improvement. They have Trent Miner, but with Trent Miner, he's so integral to the offense. You look up and suddenly he has 15, 16, 17 points, and you don't even realize it. I think he really needs kind of a second scorer to step in or step up into that role to kind of relieve some of that pressure as they get on into the later parts of this tournament. But I think beyond that, they're going to be really strong, especially if that three ball starts falling. They love to pound the ball inside. They're very system based. They look to pass the ball down into that post block. But if they can stretch it out, I think they're going to have a lot of success stretching out that defense.
Well, I think Trent Miner, when you have a player like him, you can make a tournament run around him. They have a really good point guard in Hatfield, who's probably one of the quickest point guards in that area. And when he takes care of the basketball, they're really good. And I don't know the roster for sure, but I do know they bring a freshman off the bench. And I believe the night I saw them play early in the year against New Albany, he had like 4 threes, like back to back to back. So players like that, if they can step up into those roles, like you said, and get a second score, I think they're going to be a team that's going to be hard to beat if they start making a tournament run.
Yeah, I think they have a lot of great options of guys who can step up into that role. Guys like you said, Brody Hatfield, and he really is the floor general for that team. He creates so much offense for them. He already draws so much attention to him. I would love to see how things would go if he were to shoot that three ball as soon as he picks up the pass, if he could throw a little more floaters into the action. But I think having him as a scoring threat is going to draw more and more attention, create more and more opportunities inside to Miner and to guys like Campagna, which is exactly what they're looking for in their scheme. They're looking to penetrate towards that basket, get within 10 feet, draw that help side defender, and then dish it down low. And that's where they excel as a team when they're doing well.
Yeah, and if you look at their bracket, I mean, as you mentioned, they play the winner of Grove City and Columbus St. Charles. And if the bracket kind of plays out like we might think it will, they would match up in the district semifinals, probably with Gahanna Lincoln. And Gahanna Lincoln with Coach Tony Stibe, I think he's got like 400 career wins, has done a great job there. But maybe I don't think Gahanna's maybe as strong as they've been the past 2 to 3 years. So they could easily be a team that could get to the district finals out of this bracket.
And I believe they would, if all things go as we're expecting, they would meet Hayes there as well, which would be an interesting matchup, a rivalry matchup between the two of them. But yeah, interesting to see how the run's going to go. I think it's going to be good for them.
Yeah, because if you look at the other side of the bracket, again, if you kind of played out, it looks like that it would be Hayes and Westerville South playing in the other district semifinal to be in the district final to get to the regional. And the interesting thing with that, though, would be that this would be the third time that Hayes and Westerville South played during the year. And those games always become very, very interesting when you play somebody 3 times in a year. And I think we're going to probably talk about some of the players in the Columbus area that are really good players. But for those guys that are seniors, once they graduate in May, they're going to probably just have a couple weeks, and then they're going to be on their college campus and doing all kinds of stuff during the summer. And there's not really going to be a break for them, really probably for 4 years, because it continues in the summer, the fall, then you start your season, and once your season's over in March, you're going to have maybe a week or 2 weeks, and you're going to be right back at it again. So it really becomes a job, not just, I guess maybe more at the D1 level, but at the D2 and D3 levels, there's still an expectation of you as a player that you have to put in a lot of time. And I think sometimes people don't understand the amount of time that these young athletes do put in.
All right, so we'll take a look at Westerville North, their feature now. So they're the 6th seed in the Central District. They're in Central 4. On the 27th, they're going to play Central Crossing out of Grove City. A lot of great guys on that team. It's really kind of incredible how many scoring threats and scoring options they have on that team. Guys like Ty Perkins, guys like Micah Young, Tyson Perkins, Vari Adams, Ian Robinson providing so much support. He's been our MVP player of the game a couple of times. But, we were talking about it before, but they have a real opportunity to make a deep run beyond just, the Hayes, the Olentangy Orange teams that we see. They can be a real contender up there this season, I think, in the tournament.
Yeah, if you take a look at their bracket, I mean, the other highest seed in the bracket is at number 15, and that's Pick Central. So the problem, though, is the success that Pick Central's had over the past few years. Those guys, I think, embrace this tournament run. But if we were taking a look at just far as seeds, the road to a district championship is going to be easier for Westerville North compared to many of the other districts that we have. And I know, Bryce, you've got to see them. I've got to see Westerville North, I think, 3 times. And I'm just really impressed with them. I'm impressed with, number one, how hard they play defensively, and then just the skill level that they have among their top 6 to 7 guys. They can just do a lot of things. They can shoot the 3, they can put the ball on the floor, get to the lane, and then I believe it's Amari Evans inside. He's just kind of a man-child in there at 6'4", 6'5", that he can just dominate you around the rim. So I like Westerville North as a team that maybe somewhat of a surprise if you get to those district finals and maybe even make it into the regional.
Yeah, and they're just so fast, and I think defensively they're so capable. I think that's something that is overlooked. And I was thinking about it, and what other team in the area, when they're uncomfortable about their position in the game, transfers back into the fast break? I think a lot of times people just go back to their set offense or set defense, but they're looking to create opportunities for themselves when they don't necessarily feel like they have a great hold on the game. And I think it's unbelievable that they're able to establish such pace against teams like Olentangy Orange and Hayes. And even though at times those teams have been able to match that pace as well, it's been pretty unbreakable for them.
But let's maybe talk about a couple players that you've seen in the area that have really impressed you.
Yeah, so of course with Westerville North, we talked about the guard play, so we got to talk about that. Ty Perkins, 19 points per game, 5 rebounds per game, 4 assists per game. He has an FMU offer, only a junior. Against Westerville South, he scored 34 points twice against Westerville South in both of their victories. His brother, Micah Young, is a junior shooting guard, 14 points per game, 4 rebounds per game, 4 assists per game, and 3 steals, so very defensively active, but he can put the ball in the basket. They love working off of one another, and they actually have a younger brother in Tyson Perkins as well, who has the same kind of mindset, has the same kind of athletic ability.
Well, the thing that impressed me, I mean, all 3 of those guys impressed me, but the freshman, the times I've seen him play, Tyson Perkins is his vision of the court. I mean, he makes some passes that you're like, I'm not really sure how he saw that guy open. And he's coming off the bench. So that's a spark. But the interesting thing is he comes off the bench, but a lot of times in a tighter ball game, he's on the floor in those last 3 to 4 minutes of the game. So a freshman to be able to do that is really good. That's got to be a great family with those 3 players.
Yeah, I think so. And I really think they're feeling it coming off of the last game. I think Brian covered that one. They had, what, 10 dunks in that game? And I mean, you could see it in the MVP interview, Ian Robinson and Vari Adams, that they were really, really feeling good coming off of that game. They even said, I think that was one of the best games that they had ever played. So it's good to see those guys cruising along with each other.
Yep. I mean, that's what you want as a coach is you're hoping that, you end that regular season on a really positive note. And, now they have some time some time off here to really prepare for the tournament. And I'm sure that they're going to be ready to go when it tips off.
Of course, we got to talk about Cruz McClure, the OCC scoring leaders, 26.7 points per game. He has 1,000 points in his career already as a junior for Westerville South. He's put up 40 points against Dublin Scioto, and I think even more impressive, he put up 41 points against Delaware Hayes. He was actually only the fourth player in Westerville South history to score 40 points or more in a game, and he's done it twice this season.
And he's got a good first name for how he plays Cruz, because he just plays smooth. I mean, he does things that you're just like, it doesn't look like he's going that hard, but he does. I mean, he just kind of got that motor that just keeps on an even keel. But the other part that you notice about his game, you talked about he scored 40. When you watch him play, though, he doesn't necessarily hunt for shots. He gets his shots within what their Ed Kalo and his staff expect him to do. But I think that when he's called on and he understands when it's time for me that I need to get a basket, he can do that. So he is one of the better players in the Columbus area, and I think it'll be interesting to see how he continues to grow after this season as he gets into the AAU circuit in the summer to see who's recruiting. Because I think the first time I saw him play, I believe the current head coach now at Ohio State, Jake Diebler, was there watching him.
So a lot of options for that young man, especially as a junior. I mean, that's got to feel incredible.
Yes, I mean, to score 1,000 points before your senior season is pretty outstanding. Probably why Ed Kalo continues to coach Westerville South, is we got a player like that. Yeah,
I mean, when you have the opportunity to do so, when you keep riding that glory, I mean, I would take that opportunity too.
Yep.
And of course, we got to talk about Jesse Burris.
Yep, that's the other guy I think we're going to bring
forward. Up. Yep, 14 points per game, 7 rebounds per game. He was a McDonald's All-American nominee. A bit of a dip in the scoring, but it's because it's for a good reason. He has more scorers around him. They picked up Landon Vanderwerker, who has been a great help to him, has alleviated a lot of the pressure. He's an Ohio University commit and actually just broke the Hayes all-time leading scoring record. He has 1,528 points in his career.
Well, I think what you see with Jesse Burris, you said his scoring's down a little bit. And I think probably the understanding with him is I need to have guys continue to get better around me. And the times I've watched him play, again, a player that doesn't hunt for shots. He's satisfied if his teammates are scoring. But again, it's always nice when you're a head coach that you know that you have that guy that can just go get a bucket when you need it. And that's really what he's been through his entire career at Delaware Hayes. And even more so now, when you get to the tournament, there's going to be some times they're going to be called upon that, you're going to have to be the guy, and I think he understands that role that he has.
Yeah, his explosiveness is just unbelievable. We covered the game against Westerville North early on in the season, and he dunked on a guy from the baseline, and it was seemingly out of nowhere. I mean, he wasn't on a hot streak or anything, and just the ability to turn it on and control the game has just been unbelievable to watch this season.
Well, in Delaware Hayes, they're kind of tasting that, because I believe they got beat in did they get beat in the regionals a year ago? I'm not sure.
Yeah.
I think they did. So they have that taste of what it's like to be there, and I'm sure they're fighting to get back there to see, if they can get to that regional final and then have a chance to go to Dayton and be in the Final Four in D1.
great opportunity there. And then last but not least, I want to talk about Devin Brown. I mean, one of the best players in Central Ohio, only a junior. He has 19 points per game, strong two-way player, plays flex, guard, and forward. He has offers from Wright State University. Toledo could be joining Jesse Burris over at Ohio University, has an offer there, but has been extremely dynamic, a super successful Olentangy Orange team, and he has been the heart and soul of it.
Yes, I mean, I think the game that we did with Orange and at Westerville North, one of the ways that Orange was able to alleviate Westerville's North pressure was by him handling the basketball, because he can handle it. And then the other thing is, with his size, he can see over those traps. So in that game early in the year against North, he was able to kind of negate North's pressure with his ability to handle the ball, because he can play outside and then he can also go inside and post you up. So it's going to be interesting to see as their tournament run goes, how teams are going to try to contain him, because he can kind of do it all. He can handle it, he can shoot it, he can go inside and post up. He's going to be a player that I'm sure you mentioned a lot of schools right now that are on the radar on him. And I think it'll be interesting as he goes through the summer and prepares for his senior year next year, how much his level of play continues to grow and what other schools become interested in him.
Very much so. And I guess as a coach, you know, when you're talking to players like this that are the center of the opposing team's game plan every single time, what are you telling them? Are you telling them, you know, just follow the system, or is there anything spectacular you want them to do?
Well, I think the thing that all the players we've mentioned so far, and I have not seen them play as much as other people have seen them play, but the impressive thing is they don't just hunt for shots. Sometimes you'll see somebody that's scoring 25 a game, they're searching for their shots. All of these guys have played within their team concept. But I think the other thing is the relationship that they probably have with their head coach. They're going to understand there are going to be times when they're going to have to be the guy and kind of take over that game. And I'm sure each of these coaches have plays or putting in plays when they know they need a bucket, that they're going to be able to get the ball to that scorer in a position that he can score. So I think that's what you look at when you have a player like that. But I think the big thing is all of these players have contributed to their team's success in a great way this year. And that's what you like to see about your best player.
Gotcha. Thanks for the insight.
Yep. I don't know if it's good insight or not, but it's some insight. So, but well, Bryce, we appreciate you joining us. We know we've worked together a couple times, and that's been great. But I think the next couple weeks in the Columbus area are going to be really exciting, because there's going to be some great matchups as we start to get to sectional finals and into the district tournament in the Columbus area.